This episode is sponsored by the third time you open up the fridge and still find nothing new. Maybe the fourth time will be the charm.
This episode is also brought to you by Chub Rub, keeping Gold Bond in business since 1912. This is Sorry for the Wait. Here we go. Fired up, ready to go. Welcome to the show, folks. This is Sorry for the Wait. I'm your host, Seth.
And I'm your host, Strawberry.
And we're back.
We are back.
We got to come up with something new to say other than we're back, because, I mean, we're going to be back for a while.
Where did we go?
Yeah, where did we go? We're not going anywhere right now, but we're not here to talk about any more about the Q word. I am done saying that word.
Yeah.
Every news story that I see is the Q word and the SAH phrase. And you know what? I'm fucking over it, man. Like I'm honestly over it. And that's really just where I'm at with this.
Yeah. Well, we could start calling it isolation if it'll make you feel better.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be great for my mental state. So no more on the Q word. And honestly, I'm happy to be here. You know,
me too.
I'm
Every
happy,
week,
I'm happy to be
here.
on the ones and twos, you know, with you, staring at that beautiful mug of yours. And the title of this episode is actually called Double Size Dating, and we're really excited to get into that. We have on deck today, because I figured I want to try and like lead in with the segments that we might be going with.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's fuck around a bit. Let's remix.
Why not?
Like, you mind if I play at you for a little bit? Let's switch it up.
Let's switch it up.
Who
So
cares?
what do we have first on the docket, Seth?
You know, so obviously we're going to get into our weeks, and then we're going to go into Craving of the Week, and then we've got a new segment today called Large Lingo.
Ooh, large lingo. Is that like when you write words but only use caps?
Yeah, I don't want... Oh, God. All right. I'll give that a B+. That was a good one.
Thank you.
I'll give you that. And then we'll get into double-size dating, and then we're going to finish off with another favorite of ours. We're going to finish off with heavy history.
Oh, yeah.
And we're really excited with that one, but...
We'll hold off and let you see why later.
So let's get into it. So how's your week, Bubs?
So my week's been pretty good. You know, continuing the weight loss. At this point, I'm now finally starting to kind of get compliments from people who haven't seen me in a while when they see me on like a FaceTime or a Zoom meet. And it's very bizarre to me, just because I've never like lost a significant amount of weight before,
right?
Really
Consistently.
I did yeah. And so it's very interesting kind of being on the receiving ends of compliments for my looks.
Yeah, it's weird to process for sure.
Yeah, it takes a couple seconds. But how about your week? How are you doing?
Good week, honestly. This was a big week, but it was kind of funny, and I think you noticed me because you saw me weigh in this morning. I literally jumped on the scale, looked at it, and got right off the scale.
Yeah, I was concerned for you for a second. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, because, and you know what? It was funny. I lost 4.5 pounds this week. I'm at 87 now, or 87 flat. And
nice.
But it's just kind of funny because it's what I've been saying it a couple times too, that it's weird how much the number matters less this time around. And to be at 87, like I'm very happy. You know what I mean? I'm thrilled, but 87's a number. Like, I feel good. Like, I feel good, and I still have a shit ton of work left to do.
Yeah.
But like, again, I'm making the right decisions. I know I'm making the right decisions. And when you get into a flow that we're in right now, because like we work well from home now, and we're doing our thing. And
yeah, it really has become the new normal, which is going to be really weird when we have to do something different.
And that is something that I'm worried about for sure. Like, I'm worried about like when we go back because you're off during the summer, but when I go back and get back into the office, I'm definitely worried about like, what's this going to do to my routine, and how am I really going to attack that in a way that I'm comfortable with, that doesn't derail me and doesn't like throw me off the thing. Because it's so easy when you come home from work or you're on your way home from work to just like stop and get something.
Some road food.
Yeah, get that road food and then just like house it before I even walk in the door and be like, I don't know why this happened. But it was a good week, and honestly, I feel really good about it. So you know what? It was a short week recap because honestly, we're in a zone.
The middle of it. Yeah.
Don't let me get in my zone, dude. Like, and I'm in it, and we're in it. So let's, you know what? Even though it was a good week,
we still had cravings.
I craved. I honestly, I'm not sure if this might be my weirdest one, but it's one.
I feel like today might be the first time where I think I might like outdo you as far as ambitious cravings.
Interesting. Challenge accepted. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Why don't you start?
Yeah, because you want to finish last, you son of a bitch. Okay. My craving of the week. Okay. Now, Barry, you know this about me. When I go full beard, people think I resemble a Viking god. Like,
I don't know that they ever use the word god, but I'm sure Viking.
I don't know. I've
heard
it.
Okay.
And the internet isn't saying that it's false. So agree to disagree.
Maybe we'll put a poll up.
But since when I am full beard and I am full Viking, my craving of the week is I want a Viking ship in the form of a potato skin.
So just one huge ass.
Like, I put a lot of thought into this. Like,
Okay.
I want to sail the seas of sour cream. Like, I love potato skins so much, dude. Like, you could put a plate of potato skins in front of me. Like, I could house those. And so I want to be a captain of like the HMS potato skin. Like, call me Sethy Spuds, baby. Like, I just here's my layout. Like, I want to give you like my ship. Ship layout.
What is the poop deck made out of?
So cheesy deck. You know what I mean? Because like,
Gotcha.
obviously, like, it's because a potato skin is like, you could see the boat formation out of that. You
Right.
know what I mean? And so then like, you've got like a deck of cheese, like the masts are bacon, like my steering wheel is obviously bacon, and scallion sails.
Ooh,
You know what I mean?
The scallions.
Just like, like roll out the scallions as the sails, and then I'm just cruising. Now here's the issue though. Okay.
Tell me the issue.
With this craving is that I love potato skins. And if I have a vessel of potato skins and somehow in this weird messed up universe it was able to sail, I would really have to like plan out my bites. Like, could you imagine being like 20 minutes into your journey? It's like, Captain.
That would be an interesting engineering feat.
Yeah, like where's the captain? He's in his quarters eating the goddamn ship again. And and then like my first mate needs to come in and just like with a spray bottle and just be like,
just got a mutiny.
Yeah, exactly. But like, if I see the coastline, I'm going to like get my math on, and I'm going to be like, I can take X amount of bites in Y minutes to keep this thing afloat. And then once we get into port, all bets are off. The crew is leaving.
Well, to be fair, I feel like if you're sailing on the sour cream seas, then you could probably eat the whole boat and then still like. I feel like sour cream is thick enough that you wouldn't have to worry about sinking.
Yeah, I almost now just imagine this as like a ship in a bottle.
Oh, okay.
Like, I feel like that's the only way this works. I'm like, I'll live in that bottle. And then once I'm done, just like, I don't know, go pluck me out. And so, honestly, that's what I'm craving this week. I want potato skins so bad. Really bad. So, what about you? What are you craving this week?
My craving of the week, and I'm going to also be very specific here. It is something called a brownie delight from a place that you and I know very well. Gables.
Say it again. Where is it from?
Gables.
And so, I mean,
and so, like, I guess I got to kind of explain a little bit about this. So this is a ice cream stand / shop.
This is like your prototypical like mom and pop summer ice cream shop.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean, like every town has it, and the Poconos have theirs, and it's Gables. And for years, like there was a debate of if it was Gabels or Gables, but that's besides the point. But
it's funny. My mom cleared that up because she used to live in the Poconos, and she was like, it was Gables.
Yeah.
And we kept calling it Gabels, and I was like, well, I got to sound the alarm on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our life's a lie.
God, that's a really good one. So keep going, because I want to blast into the past with this.
All right. So the general idea is that a brownie delight is a big warm brownie with just kind of like a huge ice cream sundae on top of it. But I'm going to be very specific in what I want in that sundae.
Okay.
So you got to start with 1 scoop each of Rocky Road chocolate chip cookie dough and cookies and cream. And just before I keep going, I just want people to imagine these scoops aren't like your typical ice cream scoops.
It's the size of a small child's head.
Yeah, so this is a massive thing. It'll probably weigh like 20 pounds when all is said and done. So you got the ice cream. I want some little marshmallows on top.
Okay.
Top it off with some chocolate sauce, some chocolate chips, some M&Ms, a little whipped cream. You know, obviously you need the walnuts and the cherry to really finish off that whole sundae feel. Right, you got that really warm brownie underneath, and they had this one type of brownie, the confetti brownie, that It.
People just got so grossed out at your reaction to a brownie sundae.
I feel dirty making that reaction, but let me tell you something. This is worth it.
That's so... Honestly, I did not expect that because you and I were Brownie Delight super fans.
Oh my God.
We could house a Brownie Delight, and it came in this like little takeout box that like a burger would come in from like a snack shack. And they filled that thing up.
You couldn't even close it.
Yeah, you couldn't close it. And we would try and finish it like in a period off sometimes. Like we would go, and then if it was a night off, we took our sweet, sweet time with that thing.
And I feel like watching us eat a whole Brownie Delight, like if you haven't seen one before, I'm telling you right now, you don't understand the scope of like what it looks like, what it tastes like, and just how absurd it is.
In terms of realistic weight, like not being facetious, like I think it's probably around 3 pounds.
I think it might be more than that.
Like I'm being safe here, but like imagine like holding like a 3 pound weight and equating that to just a brownie sundae.
I definitely feel like it's way more than 3 pounds. I feel like it might be closer to like the 10-pound range.
That thing was thick 2Cs, man. Like that's incredible. Oh man. And you know what's funny? Imagine trying to eat that now after we've been doing all this work.
I would do it and then just like, I don't know that I would be able to contain myself. I think I would paint my bathroom wall multicolors.
Like we would get so sick that it's absurd. That's a really good one. I'm really, really happy with that one.
I was very happy thinking of it and very miserable to think that I will not be able to fulfill that unless I travel hundreds of miles away.
And shout out to all of our camp friends who were in that Brownie Delight life.
Oh, they know the Gables.
Yeah, they know it. Whatever your vice was at Gables, you indulged every now and again. So that's another craving of the week in the books. What do we got next?
So up next, we've got Large Lingo.
Large Lingo. So this is new. I mean, and we're kind of going out on a limb with this one. We thought it would be fun, and we're going to give it a shot. We're going to see what people think about it.
So Large Lingo is basically Seth and I each pick one term from our Fat Camp dictionary, and we're going to try to explain it the way I would explain it to somebody who has no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You know, I think that's... Again, like this is something that we're experimenting with, and so we're gonna see how it goes. And so,
so what's your large lingo word?
It's funny. This is a classic. Like this is just a classic that not only fat campers know very well, but also just big people in general. Like chub rub. Harping back to our fake sponsor in the very beginning, but chub rub is a friction like no other. Like if you were born with the thighs of thick, like you know what chub rub is.
I was going to say chub rub is basically like the complete opposite end of a thigh gap.
Yeah. Exactly. It absolutely is. And for those who don't know what chub rub is, it is when you are thick of thigh and and when you walk around and you're kind of pacing yourself or you're running, the friction of those thighs is Kanye Taylor-esque. It is old people versus kids on skateboard. It is K-pop Twitter versus everyone else on Twitter. Like it is like the friction there is hotter than like 2 times of hell. You know, I think that's like fair to say.
Yeah.
It is something that I don't wish on my worst enemy because it hurts so bad. And the only remedy that you really have is Gold Bond. And like whenever you have chub rub, like whenever you have this friction on those thighs and you just can't really walk. Like you have to do this like weird, like,
oh, it's a waddle.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, like what the hell's wrong with Steve? And they're like, don't worry about Steve. He's just weird. No, Steve's not weird. He's not weird.
He just has thick thighs.
Yeah. He's just got chub rub, dude. Like I remember like having to like kind of like waddle, like just go march of the penguins around just to get back to my bunk and just dump Gold Bond like right on me. And like I'm not joking. If you have ever been big in your life, like you know what that is.
Well, I think it was so like everywhere when we were at camp and like to the point where people literally had Gold Bond. Like a lot of people came prepared with Gold Bond because they just knew walking with thick thighs, you know what's going to happen.
I think we have to double check. I have to find like our old camp packing list, but I do think that it might have been on there.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? But I know it was on like my old Camp Kings Mountain, Camp Empire Lake ones, but I know that it was on one of my packing lists over the years. But here's the thing is that I have such a sympathy for Gold Bond that like my campers, like granted they might have overdone it every now and again, but if a camper ever told me like I have chub rub and it pains me to move, I'd be like, you're good.
Yeah.
you're good. Because I remember it when I was a camper, and I just remember being like, what am I is this how I go? Is this how I die? Like, and
I honestly think it might be like one of the most painful experiences, right up there with like one of those terrible toothaches.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just so similar because it's like
such
there's
good-
nothing
yeah,
you
there's
can
nothing
do
you can
about
do.
it. And everything you do hurts for every waking second.
and it just nags. Like, I'm not joking. I think all of us at camp have like I think Goldmond knows when camp is in session.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh, we're gonna get a tip from the fats, and so that's my large lingo for the week. But chub rub, man, it gives me the willies just thinking about it. But what do you got? What did you go with?
So I feel like your large lingo was a pretty negative aspect, but mine I think is just, I mean, I'll tell you right now, it's chunky dunking.
Oh, I'm so happy. We don't skinny dip.
We chunky dunk.
I like that a lot. Oh,
and I really feel like that's almost all that needs to be said. I mean,
yeah,
I think you know what chunky dunking means
So-
if you haven't think about it for a second.
it's funny. I've known you now for 10 years.
Yeah.
Because we met in 2010.
Yeah.
That's insane. Actually, I didn't even put together how much time we've known each other until
think-
just now.
I think probably it'll be like a month and then it's like the
Yeah.
full anniversary.
So I've known you 10 years. Have you ever chunky dunked?
I've never full on chunky dunked. I have yeah, no.
No. Oh man.
I was trying to come up with a way to say
with
it
a way
that
to-
sounding less boring, but like no.
Yeah, that's
Have you?
a couple times. Your boy has dunked that chunk, like
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, I won't say where, like, you never dunk and tell, but it's but you know what? It's kind of funny that like whoever did come up with that, I mean, the origins of we don't skinny dip, we chunky dunk is a hero, like a personal hero.
Absolutely.
Like, you want to talk about, that's like the first wave of body positivity that like you've ever seen, if you think about it.
I also just feel like chunky dunking sounds so fun. It makes me
Yeah.
think of like a fat ass Oreo that we're just like dunking in milk.
I was just about to say, it reminds me of those like Dunkaroos. You remember those snacks? Just like, oh, like here, yeah, no, fuck it. Here's a graham cracker and a shit ton of icing. Like, go nuts.
as opposed to like the skinny dip. Just
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Like, I think of Mulan. I am like Han, King of the Rock, and Poe. Like, and Poe just like jumps into the river. And
honestly,
just
Chen
causes
Po
that
was my
wave.
childhood hero.
Yeah, just oh man, like chunky dunking is such a fun, like it's just such a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've never done it, but like it just falls off your tongue in such a wonderful way. It's a great phrase to say over and over again.
You feel empowered, and like who says
Chunky dunk.
and like skinny dipping was already way too exclusive. So you know what? Like fuck y'all.
yeah.
Like,
What
it's-
about people who aren't skinny?
Yeah, exactly. Like we deserve to have that fun too. But you know what's funny is at my old camp, I'm talking about when I was in maybe 6th grade. So this was a different weight loss camp in like Vermont, like way up there, Vermont, like near Burlington almost.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, like one night, like our bunk was really close to the lake, and all of a sudden I just remember seeing 4 counselors just sprint by our bunk and just like make way for the lake, just all completely naked. I was like, why wouldn't you just like get naked at the lake and chunky dunk there? But like, no, they wanted to chunky chog, which is like chunky jogging, and then just go full send.
Do you know what that reminds me of, Seth? Why don't you take a second and talk to our audience about boxer buddies?
I really don't want to boxer buddies. All right, folks, you're getting a bonus old camp story. So shout out to all my people at Camp Kingsmont and Camp Empire Lake, and those who will remember this well. Boxer Buddies was a thing on Boys Hill, because we used to call it that. That's what it was, Boys Side, Boys Hill.
Right.
And there were the oldest campers who were there, and every day during rest hour, which was right after lunch, you had an hour to just kind of chill out before your next activity. During rest hour, you would hear this like Braveheart bagpipe music. and you would just hear Boxer Buddies! And we would all just, and the very first time we all heard it, we were like, what in the fuck? And I'm like, I'm not joking. Like, I'm like 8 years old when I first did Boxer Buddies. And these oldest boys camper came with like a boom box, just playing like this bagpipe anthem. And they're all in their boxers, and they're like, everybody out. It's Boxer Buddies. And we would go for a walk around Boys Hill just in our boxers, blasting music, just yelling boxer buddies in this like great thing of unity. And then finally, this was years later, 2005, we're doing boxer buddies. We're on a different campus this time around. And we're doing boxer buddies. And then all of a sudden we get to like the middle of the bunks and there's a parent on a tour. On a tour. Parent on a tour with her kid. And this kid's just like, what is this? And then of course, like one of the campers was like, it's boxer buddies, man. and then the oldest person, I'll never forget, Keith Pyle. I'll never forget him.
Oh, I see we're name dropping now.
Yeah, no, Keith Pyle, if you're out there, man, credit to you. And he just goes, parents! And we all just disperse. And the person giving the tour just had to be like, honestly, that never happens. It happened every goddamn day, dude. So I'm really glad we got to take that tangent. I want to get back on track. But shout out to Boxer Buddies. And you know what? Shout out to Large Lingo. I actually had fun with that. I like the tangent that we took with that. And so, you know what? We're going to move on into our main topic today, which is the title of this episode, double-sized dating.
I wonder what that could refer to.
I hate when you ask this for like everyone.
What does double size mean?
We're really just it's just big dating, man. You know, big life, big dates. And you know what? With double size dating, I'll admit, like, we were pretty nervous for this episode. I was a little nervous for this episode because like this is a touch.
It's personal.
Yeah, it's
very personal.
It really is, and it's personal in a different way because like this is something that I have struggled with my entire life. And I think, like, I don't know.
I can 100% agree with that.
And this is something that, you know what, we're going to give it a shot, and we're going to get in there, and we're going to get real with it.
And if we have to cut the entire segment, at least we have Boxer Buddies.
Yeah. And just cut the episode at that. But you know what, with double-sized dating while living big, right, it's very, very tough because not only do you have these self-esteem issues and these self-confidence issues, but you're also just worried that you don't even have a shot
right
from the start. Like, I always wanted to make it a point, like when I was growing up, to like, if I liked a girl, like you follow the regular protocol. Like it really blessed me that
you ask her friends if she likes you, and then you tell your friends to ask her if.
But you know what really helped is obviously having a big sister growing up, and she was just like, yeah, just be nice. And I was like, oh, weird.
Go figure.
Yeah, and
being nice to people makes them like you.
But it didn't make it any easier. You know what I mean? And like fast forward to when I did have like my 3 serious relationships, I guess, that you could count. It's weird because as much as I did feel comfortable, I didn't feel comfortable. And I hope that makes sense. Like like you're playing like you're comfortable, and you are at times. Like you're still your authentic self, but you are shifting a lot, because the big thing that I took away when we decided that we were going to do this episode was that, for me, my personal experience when it came to dating was like whatever it took.
What do you mean by that?
Whatever it took, like it was Avengers-esque, like whatever it takes, man. And it was just, my whole thinking behind this was whatever it takes to keep this going, because what if this is your only shot? And it really fucked me up a little bit because. And you know me, well, I fall hard.
And I think that mentality also just kind of like puts you into more of a trap, because it kind of defines what you're willing to accept in a relationship, whether it's healthy or not.
Exactly. And also just the way that you act, that's not healthy for the relationship. Like here's the thing is that I always felt like at camp, dating's easier because we're all in the same boat, and like people have to see you for who you are because people get it.
Right.
And that's why like I'll always have like appreciation for like my girlfriend in high school, because that was outside of camp. She saw me for me, and I was like, word, like you're sure, like you're looking at the same guy, like you're cool with this.
You're looking at the calendar to make sure it's not April 1st.
Right. But with that, I would fold like I had a no fight policy, which was
so you were a lawn chair.
It was, if I could avoid it at all costs. If I could feel the argument ramping up, get like, okay, it's done. Like, I'm wrong. I remember like just so many different instances that I was just like, I don't even want the fight, because then it like, what if that's the fight that she's like, well, like that anybody is just like, well, then I don't need you. And then you're like, well, that's my shot. I can't blow it. And also just your anxiety is through the roof.
Yeah.
Like mom, cover your ears. But like, here's the thing. Like, and like, I have to make this like a little bit of a dark humor, but like every time that I had relations
Yes.
with my significant other at the time,
like holding hands.
my first thought afterwards, I'm not joking, that I hand to God. My first thought after every time I had relations was just to be like, I should apologize.
Oh my God! Did you?
I should apologize for that. No, like I didn't. Like I kept.
Thank God.
I kept that bottled up, dude. But I was always just like, you know what? I got to put myself in their shoes. Like I just wanted to be like, I'm sorry for trapping you there. Like, because that's always
You're just stuck underneath a massive beanbag.
Right, exactly. And because that's how I always felt. Because like I didn't believe in I acted like I believed in myself. But truthfully, I was just afraid, like almost every single day in any relationship that I had, that like that was going to be the day. And like, granted, I got better at like managing it, but it's tough. And so, I mean, but honestly, like I want to switch it up, because I think that your dating outlook is very interesting from what we've talked about over the years. But I'd rather you get into it just to kind of give the people a better idea.
Yeah. So I've never had any like serious relationships, like, or any relationships like in general. I've had relations with people, but nothing that ever got to any sort of like emotional level or dating level.
Right.
You know, and a lot of it really did stem from, you know, anxieties.
Yeah.
And just kind of like being afraid to take chances with people that I probably shouldn't have been afraid to take chances with. You know, but it has a way of getting into your head. And so one of the things that's very different about our two experiences dating is I am gay.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Oh shit.
Yeah. No, but it's a good point to bring up.
And so, you know, it's a different dating scene in general, and I feel like it's completely it is very different, I think, for gay men who are fat versus, you know, straight men who are fat.
Because for me, I'm still like I still learn stuff about the LGBTQ plus community.
Very good acronym.
Yeah, I think I nailed that, right? And
yeah.
Because I learned all that from you, and because part of being a good ally and a good supporter and just a good human is just educating yourself, and who better to learn it from than you. And so when you say that it's different, like do you say different how, as in easier, or as in more complicated, or just more convoluted? Is it?
I would go with more convoluted.
Okay.
You know, because there are certain things that are easier and certain things that are harder, and it's a very weird thing to navigate. And I think a lot of it does stem from, you know, because of the issues and the way that our community's kind of been treated over decades and centuries.
Right, historically disenfranchised, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think that right now, you know, we're still in this big pride movement where, you know, people are taking pride in expressing their sexuality in every way that they can, or any way that they feel like it.
Right.
And I feel like that's an overall positive thing, but I do think that it leads to some toxic parts of LGBTQ plus culture.
Well, so when you say toxic, do you mean toxic in the sense of like hookup culture in the gay community, or is it toxic because hookup culture is more prioritized than actually dating?
Well, and I think that's really what it is, because, you know, when you are, you know, surrounded by you know, LGBT people, and you're kind of like having these in-person interactions, it really isn't toxic, because people are just people, and people aren't
right. They're just living their life, doing
doing
the damn thing. Yeah.
The problem is how many don't interact that way in their relationships, and there are many different reasons. If you're in a rural area, there probably aren't as many opportunities to interact with LGBT people in person.
I was going to say that, like, geographic location has to play a big role. Like, obviously in these big metropolitan cities, like, but like in a place where we are, it's like in very like much kind of city, but mostly suburbia.
Well, and especially since the whole advent of like Grindr and Tinder and just hookup apps in general.
Right.
I mean, you know, they're pretty toxic whether you're gay or straight.
Right.
But because of just like the different factors that involve it, I mean, Grindr itself is a cesspool.
Yeah.
Like there are very few positive things that I've found in my personal experiences on Grindr.
So is it just like a cesspool because like it's just very blunt?
Well, I think that's definitely part of it, but there's also a lot of vanity. Like if I were to look through, and I just think that being inconsiderate of other people, I mean, some of the things that I see on Grindr disgust me, and I'm not even talking about the pictures. like people whose like entire bios, like their name, like it's like literally John.
It's really
31, and
it's
the
a
bio
sex resume.
Yeah, and the bio literally just starts off no fats, no femmes.
Oh, jeez.
Like no
That's
spice,
just being
no
a
rice.
dick. Like,
yeah, like everything is racist. Like there's so much, and that's not everybody, of course, but that's a lot of profiles on there. But I've almost found that is probably the thing that most people I think can see or recognize or understand pretty well about like gay apps. The thing that I think is harder to wrap my head around is the fetishization of being fat.
Interesting.
Because it's a whole other ballgame. You know, I might hit one person up and they might be like, sorry, no fats, block.
Right.
But then I'll hit another person up and just the way that they talk about the way I look makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, that kind of creeps me out a little bit.
Because it's a thing where like some people just are fetishize like being fat and being huge.
Which like to whatever they're like whatever floats
right.
your boat.
I don't
like,
kink shame.
Yeah, we're not, dude. Sorry for the wait. It's not a kink shaming podcast.
Oh, absolutely not. We are kink positive.
But here's the thing: is that, and granted, that might be for somebody, but especially for someone like people, especially like us, like I don't think this happens much in the straight community in terms of like fat fetishization.
Yeah,
yeah. But I do think that, like for people who are trying to get healthier, like to be told that like your worth comes from you being fat, that's got to mess with your mind too. Of like, well, then does that mean do I have to stay being fat?
Well, but then also just like, I mean, I know that like there are way more communities that feel the fetishization more than fat people because I see it online a lot of places too. But like, it really does take away from your value no matter what it's about when the people that you're interested in won't accept you for some reason. And the only people who will accept you for that reason are people who will only accept you because of that.
Right.
Like
for an overly sexual reason.
Right. Like nobody wants to really date you. They just want to, be smothered by your fat. Which is
when you put it like that, very blunt. Yeah.
And especially just like the way that people talk on hookup apps is very blunt. So you might not even exchange names before they're like, I want you to sit on my face and suffocate me. And it's like, oh, I'm Josh. Nice to meet you.
Oh, I really wasn't ready for you to say that. But, well, let me get my shit together. But like, it's on the topic of dating apps. I just want to like remix it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so since I've been out of like my last serious relationship, right? Like, and like I've downloaded some of these apps like Hinge and like Tinder and Bumble and stuff. And like I gravitate to Hinge because like you can kind of remix a little bit. Like you just have a little bit more of an opportunity.
I've actually never heard of that one.
So Hinge, like you can fill out your profile. Like there's different questions you can take that you can answer and add, and it's just a better look. And it's kind of like you at least know a little bit more about the person. But I'll admit, like, and it could be a dick move, and honestly, it probably is. But like I'll go through and I'll see girls that like I'm very interested in, and then like I'll write a little comment like. And kind of just and like them, and there are some that I match with, and then all of a sudden I just freeze up.
Oh, that's my problem with Tinder.
Yeah, because here's the thing is that like I would match, like they like I know that I should message first or that I should start the dialogue, and like I go and like I start shaking up a little bit because here's the thing is that like when your anxiety is through the roof when it comes to dating, especially when you're fat, because like you're not picking shitty photos of you to put on a dating app. You're picking good photos of you. Like
right.
You want to stay true to like where you're at, so you just try and find like the upward angle, like and
something that's like slightly deceiving, but not enough to be called on it.
Right, because like who would fill out a profile that represents himself that picks shitty pictures? You know what I mean? And so
right.
I always try and make sure that like I'm upfront and I'm honest about it. Like, but when I go to like send that message, I'm not joking. Like I clam up, I freak out because I think of like the previous relationships, which I've gotten a lot better like through my therapy of just like you gotta let it go, because these are all independent variables. Like, they are not part of a cycle. They are not part of, and because in the past, like, I would constantly just think like, well, you know what, you blew all those opportunities, but they weren't even blown opportunities. As you grow and get older and you're not a goddamn kid anymore, you understand that, like, guess what? Some shit is only meant to last for a little bit.
Right.
Like, it's some shit isn't meant to go the distance, and that's totally fine. And of course, I was a child about it almost all 3 times. And you learn and you grow and you get better as a person, but that doesn't mean that it's still not there for the next time that you're looking to jump, especially when you're trying to work on yourself too.
Right. And you know, I kind of like want to take a look at, you know, towards the future, like what kind of advice would we have for, you know, the Strawberry and Seth of 5 years ago, how to navigate this world of double-sized dating. First thing I'd tell myself is come out to your grandparents. They don't give a fuck. But other than that, right, I think that, like, the biggest thing is, you know, if you're looking for something serious with somebody, then it should be somebody that you're willing to date, whether they are 50 pounds heavier or thinner, and vice versa.
Yeah,
like, they should feel that way about you. And I think that way too many times I got into my own head about, like, don't message this guy. He's way out of your league.
Right.
And, like, who knows? Maybe that was the one. Maybe I missed out on that one.
And you never know, because when you're in your own head and you don't send that message, then you're thinking about it years later.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing. And honestly, I think that what I would tell myself, and like what we would tell everybody, is that it's like Into the Spider-Verse. Like, it's a leap of faith. Every relationship is, no matter what size you are. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So when you're in your own head and you're constantly like, I know it's very cliche, but so many people are like, well, how are you going to be with somebody else if you don't even like yourself or you don't even love yourself? Right. And that's very, very true. Like I've been on a losing streak of hating myself, like, for a long time. And we're finally starting to see shit turn around where, like, I can kind of pull off that mask. And so what I would have told myself years ago is that, like, look, you're in these relationships because they do like who you are. Like, they didn't just, like, you're not a charity case, Seth. Like, right. Get over yourself, dude. Like, stop having a pit in your stomach every time you go out to eat with your own girlfriend. Like,
right.
Like, you need to learn to just enjoy these moments, because guess what? As you'll learn when you grow up, that some of this shit just doesn't last, and that's okay. But while you're there, you got to try. You need to be completely honest with the people that you're dating about what you're actually feeling. Don't fold. Don't just think that because you have an argument and because there's a fight that it's over and that you blew your one shot. Because if you live like that, then you're gonna drive yourself insane.
Right. And the other just general piece of advice I would give is that drop the apps. I mean, they're good for some people, but, like, I mean, I feel like it's just a healthier outlook if you're you know,
if you're not reducing people to a one-page profile.
Yeah, because how could you really sum up who you are,
right,
in you know, 4 pictures and a bio?
And it absolutely does work for some people, you know what I mean? It really does. And it's just like, it's very easy to fall into that system of just swipe. And
honestly, for the longest time, I almost played it like a game, because everybody I would swipe right on, like, I convinced myself I had no shot with, so, like, why even message them? So it was just my little
shot, baby.
So it was just my little game of saying, like, hot or not, and that was how I treated it for so long, just because I couldn't even picture somebody I was interested in reciprocating that.
Right, which adds to the toxic nature in itself, just in a different way. And so, honestly, we got through that. You know, like, we definitely opened up some wounds, for sure, and we're definitely gonna ice those up later. But but you know what? Like, I'm happy where we are with at least our outlook on that, because we can learn from those mistakes,
right?
Especially as big people who are out there living big and too afraid to go out and date. And I'm glad that we're at where we're at, and we just hope that anyone who's out there that's back where we were, hopefully this can speak. Don't waste any more time. It's so
now
precious.
The only thing holding us back is the Q word.
Is the freaking Q word, man. So you know what? Let's finish light. Haha.
Do you mean heavy?
I think I do. What's our last segment today?
Heavy history.
Heyo. And so normally what we do with heavy history is we each pick something, but you came across something that you said, I think we can dedicate an entire segment to this.
Oh, yes.
And I couldn't have agreed more. So please do the honors.
So let me introduce you to the world of early 20th century fat men's clubs.
The Fat Men's Club. It's a dream.
Not just one. There were many fat men's clubs around the U.S. and around the world.
Wow, there were many entrees, a.k.a. chapters.
Oh, yeah.
That is so
Free
awesome.
apps for everyone.
So give me a little background, because I let you run with this. And so I'm just as curious, because I went into it blind. After you said it, I didn't want to research it, because I know that you would have had a bunch of bits here.
All right, so I'm going to start. Are you over 200 pounds? Can you afford a $1 fee? Do you want to know a handshake and a secret password? Well then, the Fat Men's Club of Wells River, Vermont is open for you.
You really wrote a promo. You wrote a promo for the Fat Men's Club. I'm sorry. Okay.
Opened in the year 1903 amidst the beautiful Vermont mountains. That's pretty much all I got to.
Oh,
but there's
okay.
There's a lot of good stuff.
So you have to be over 200 pounds.
Yes, that was their minimum weight requirement, and they would weigh you every couple of years, like twice a year. They had a meeting, right? So they would weigh you for each of those meetings, but they would announce them ahead of time, so that if you weren't,
you could pad up.
Yes, and the quote from the NPR 2016 article that I saw was that they were announced well ahead of time to allow men to, quote, stuff up
to
reach that
season,
minimum
baby.
age.
Like,
so if you think that cutting was just for wrestlers,
right?
This was
anti-cutting. Like,
this was the opposite of
you
cutting.
are just, I got to get into my weight class, brother. Like, that's so. It's so funny to me that it really just proves that there can be a club for anything.
Oh yeah.
And this nonetheless. And so, like, what do they do? What do you do there?
So I think from my impression of reading the article, I mean, there are some events that they did. They had competitive weigh-ins. They would eat without concern, and they would be bragging about their girth, but it was really just a place for fat guys to sit and eat and joke and kind of like let loose.
So pretty much counselors at camp.
Yeah, exactly. That is what drew me to this.
It's our nights off.
I was like, this has been what's replaced the Fat Men's Club in our society, for me at least.
And credit to just moving forward is that, like, in 2020, it would be Fat People's Club.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up too.
No.
Because there were Fat Women's Club.
Did they, like, share a partnership or something, or do events together? Or
no, I think they were totally separate because, fat men and fat women, especially of the era, had different kind of like social lives.
Okay.
And
Yeah, no, I can see that.
But there is one caveat. There were fat women's clubs, but women's reduction clubs had more members.
Interesting. So like women's weight loss groups, you mean?
It is exactly that. It is Weight Watchers, but for 1900.
Interesting. Okay. So that's so weird, because in that time period, wasn't that still, so in the 1900s, so I'm not going to.
Late 1800s, 1900s. So for instance, there was one called Cent Kilos, which means 100 kilograms.
Right.
That opened in France in 1897. And that was, from what I was able to find, the earliest one that I could find in that era.
So it's weird that we're not seeing, in a time where there is the age of the internet and way more groups for everything. And I'm sure if we delved into the depths of the internet, we would find some of these groups, and maybe they would have a more sexual connotation to them. But it's just so funny that there isn't like a mainstream like big person elite club. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of wild that this happened, because I can just imagine like them being like, honey, I need you to make a dish for the Fat Men's Club.
Yeah, but
and people would just go all out, and like they would come and do potlucks and do all this stuff. But like,
counterpoint, have you ever seen a Magic the Gathering tournament?
Oh, that's low. Oh, you're punching down.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
Boo.
Yeah, no, cancel Strawberry.
Oh, that is it's kind of funny though. But you know what? Like, it's just a weird thing though, because I did think about this, because I wanted you to run with this, but I did have new branding for 2020.
Ooh, I want to hear this.
If we had like a big person's club, because here's the thing, like, even the term Fat Men's Club, I don't know, like, and I'm not trying to be like super soft here, because like we both know that we're fat, but like I like instead of saying being fat, I like saying living big. And I don't think that that's just being like, well, you're just denying what you want. No, I'm not. I know. But I think it just has like a little more of a lighter take on it. Like live big.
Yeah.
Live big, baby. Like instead of just like, yeah, like we're fat.
Well, and I think it's a lot of people have had very negative experiences with that word, myself included. You know, I personally don't mind calling myself fat,
Right.
but I completely understand a lot of people who do mind that. So I would also agree with we should rebrand that.
Right. And so with the idea of branding, if we were to have this club, I came up with a few names.
Oh, I'd love to hear some.
So I came up with 4, and I want you to pick the one that you think the best, and then I want listeners to either tweet at us or drop a line on our Facebook or on Instagram. Just give us whatever you think is the best one.
And make sure it agrees with me.
Thickums.
Okay.
2 C's.
2 C's, no K. Okay.
Thickums. Biggie Halls. Because I would assume we would gather in like a big hall.
Right.
Pie Society.
Ooh.
I think Pie Society is a good one. And then I have the waistband of brothers and sisters. Sort of like Band of Brothers, but the waistband of brothers and sisters. And so which one out of those do you think is the best?
I like Thickums, but I think that's just because there is nothing that'll make me laugh louder than calling something thick with 2 C's and no K.
Right,
like I don't know what it is, but I think that's my favorite like internet thing of like the last couple years.
Just so thick, dude. Like, could you imagine just being, oh yeah, like we're members of Thickums.
I also think it's got that really good branding of like that short name that you could turn into like an app name.
That's
just
merch, dude. That is so much merch.
I need to see how we spell this. How do we spell Thickums?
Oh, I literally went THICCUMS.
Okay.
Thickums.
See, we might want to take out that second U because we know apps love to take out that last vowel.
Oh, you're right. We gotta think tech. And so I really do like that one, but I do love Pie Society.
Pie Society is good.
Because like that, or that could just be like the elite class is just like, oh, like, yeah, no, did you say that you are high society? No, sir. Us over here, we're Pie Society. Like that to me would just be so funny. And so, you know what? Maybe that's just what we are. Maybe we're just Thickums. You know? Like that's our brand. But honestly,
hey, you know what? Thickums, a new large persons club coming to you soon. Not very soon.
That promo threw me on my ass, dude. But you know what? I really like that heavy history. I like that we did a joint one, and I think you explained it pretty well. And so, you know what? We're gonna go into closing thoughts, and I mean we're 5 down. This is number 5, and of course, this is going to be in the batch for launch day, and we're really, really excited.
Yeah, so if you've gotten to the end of this episode on the day that we've launched, congratulations. Go outside.
Yeah, safely. And you know what? Honestly, like we're having a blast doing this. Like I'm honestly surprised at how much fun we're having with this. But you know what, folks? Until next time, I'm Seth.
And I'm Strawberry.
And this is Sorry for the Wait.